I came from a small rural town in South Carolina, a place where the expectations were high, but the bar was set pretty low. The success of girls was measured by being properly educated, well-mannered, going to church, getting married, having children, and becoming a teacher or a nurse. So at a very early age, I rejected virtually all of these deeply ingrained, generationally affirmed programming. Thus began my path in search of independence. I first went to Washington, D.C. After all, I had a degree in political science. I found myself somehow getting into a business school because I had no marketable skills, no long-term career plan, and no sense of independence. So, a lesson here is don't be afraid to change directions. Eventually, I found myself in a management training program at Chemical Bank in New York City. Now, Chemical Bank was the bank that ultimately rolled up all the banks in New York to become today, which is J.P. Morgan, okay? That was us. This early era was the era in the 80s and 90s in America, which was a very frothy time. It was the era of the leveraged buyout, which was the dominating trend in business and banking at the time. And I wanted really badly to participate in this area of finance, but none of the players at the time were women. I went into bankruptcy. Now, if the LBO business was the rising sun of finance, bankruptcy was the dark side of the moon. It was a graveyard, knee-breaking, bill-collecting backwater of the financial forum. In other words, an undiscovered opportunity. So I became the golden girl in the corporate bankruptcy business, which was dominated by brown-suited, balding, bespectacled men who were also excluded from the mainstream establishment for their differences as well. The downturn came, and all of a sudden this product I had created, which was financing bankrupt companies, financing bruised, broken companies, suddenly this was the product du jour. And no one else in the country had the expertise, infrastructure, or knowledge to compete with me. And corporate America was melting down. So my business became the largest profit center in the corporate bank in what were very, very dark days in our country's financial history. So here I had a business which was the hottest, highest profile in finance, and I became one of the highest paid bankers in the country. With this background and the accompanying reputation, I made a very easy transition from banking into the investment business. Here I had already honed a learned skill set, but the skills most needed I found as I moved deeper into the investing business was the ability to make a decision. For 10 years following my banking days, along with my husband, who's one of the foremost investors of his generation and considered by many as actually the father of private equity. For these 10 years, I was heavily involved in the investment business, focusing on what we referred to as the get-rich business, doing deals, merging companies, streamlining assets, evaluating contrarian investments, strategies, finding good assets in out-of-favor industries, and backing good managers, building on the financial deal experience that I already had. Unless you have an addictive personality, there can be diminishing returns in doing the same thing over and over. Doing the next deal, making the next pot of money. And I accidentally and unconsciously started being drawn to activities outside of the direct investment business. Although still investing, still managing money, but being drawn to other things. And it started with two men insisting on seeing Richard and me. They wanted to name the business school at the University of South Carolina for me. Today there is the Darla School of Business at the University of South Carolina, whose international business program is actually ranked one of the highest in the world. In fact, Monday, Business Week came out with the rankings for the U.S., and it was ranked #1 in international business. So, as we said, it's the only business school named for a woman. And to date, this distinction has cost about $80 million. So today I spend my time still investing personally, although the emphasis has moved to stay rich from get rich. And now my career is focused on all things economic, everything from improving water quality to helping communities build hotels and civic centers as economic engines. So thank you very much. This has been an honor.
Can you share with us some of the challenges or sacrifices that you've had to make in your career?
I did not have children now. Remember that. I chose, and it was a choice. That wasn't an accident. There were trade-offs. I don't have it all. But I didn't have the struggles that probably most of you are going to have when you start having the children, if you choose to have families and things.